I'm HIV positive, right? And this is just a PSA to those that are not HIV positive. Disclosure is my choice. When I disclose and how I disclose and who I disclose to is up to me.
I'm not even gonna hold y'all long today, I promise. But it's extra clear to me that so many of you truly want a boundaryless, moralless, godless, no accountability having.
Whenever men tell women that their standards are too high and that you're delusional, when I heard it back in the day, I used to be like, y'all are just some haters. Y'all are pathetic and y'all be on some hating shit. Like, women, don't lower your standards. Girl, do not lower your standards. These men are pathetic. They're just being some haters. Initially, that was my thought. But now, I honestly unfortunately, I have to agree with the men. Women are delusional.
And I was cleaning before we get started. For those who are rocking with me from day one, I appreciate the support. For those who may be new here, coming in or out the door for me, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, get it cracking in the comments. Everybody you're engaged in absolutely helps promote me into the YouTube algorithm. I thank y'all for the support. Now let's get to it. Drop the video. Let's go.
I'm HIV positive, right? And this is just a PSA to those that are not HIV positive. Disclosure is my choice. When I disclose and how I disclose and who I disclose to is up to me. I find it so crazy how people are telling me that I need to disclose before I go on a date, that I need to disclose before I kiss somebody. This is the craziest one. Before I even tell them my name. It's not happening. I don't think that it's my responsibility to tell someone that I'm HIV positive if they are treating me as if I'm not. Your health is your responsibility. Adopt the mindset of medical practitioners. Assume that everyone has something until they prove to you that they do not. Why are you kissing a stranger or trying to kiss a stranger that you just met? Why are you trying to have intercourse with someone raw that you just met? You don't know me from a hole in a wall. Why are you trying to put your thing inside of me without any kind of protection? Why do I have to be the one to say, hey, chill out, I'm HIV positive, instead of you asking, taking the time to know me, get to know me, let's go get tested together if you want to take the next step? Why do I have to be the one protecting you from yourself? No, baby, that is not my responsibility. And I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, love you, bye.
Look, let me say this, and I'm going to approach this with sensitivity. I think it is ridiculous for her to tell you her status before you know her name. So that to me sounds a bit hyperbolic. If someone even told her that, then you're stupid. But with all that being said, it is absolutely your responsibility to tell anyone interested in dating you your status. It's just it's what it has to be. Not only because it's the moral thing to do, because legally you're obligated to. This is a life altering event if someone becomes with this status in the affected area, right? Like your status is infected. So it is absolutely your responsibility to tell someone interested in dating you your status. Now, I did a little research on her. She is in a relationship. She got, her status from a man she was in a relationship with that knew he had it, didn't tell her, intentionally gave it to her, and now you know, she has, you know, she's positive status. And I'm trying to be careful what I say here because this might be something YouTube doesn't like. So my question to her would be, knowing how you were done and you did get done dirty, don't you think it would behoove you to not want to perpetuate this cycle? And I'm not saying she is because I've seen a lot of her videos and her status is, she's damn near doesn't have it. She had a baby with a guy. She's in a relationship with a guy. Both that guy and her baby are negative status. So bravo, congratulations for controlling it. She caught it early. But I just don't think this is the right attitude to approach, to take, I should say. I get it. Her whole TikTok is dedicated to HIV and AIDS awareness and how to know if you have it, to prevent it, and to not perpetuate it to others, right? Or not infect others. But this take she did, I just think it was in bad taste. I think it does more harm than good to your cause. And you just have to let people know. I know you're not dating. I know this is a hypothetical, but if you were dating, you can't take this stance. It's just not a moral stance to take. Yes, I get people should not be reckless. I get it. But if you are in the positive range with this particular infection, you have to let people know. You just have to. And that's just all it is to it. I congratulate this young lady for all the efforts to bring awareness to this very detrimental disease or infection. And I know we have progressed quite well with um, this particular infliction, and that people can get it down to almost not even showing it. But you still have to be honest and transparent with people about your status. And that's just all it is to it. Let's go to the next one.
I'm not even gonna hold y'all long today, I promise. But it's extra clear to me that so many of you truly want a boundaryless, moralless, godless, no accountability having, extra perverted and over sexualized, flavor of fuck off Diddy society that's governed by brain dead celebrities. And it shows. Heal that shit. Because it's real weird.
I agree. And she spoke nothing but facts. We just live in a debaucherous world where people have the inclination to do whatever depraved act they feel is within them. Like, we got rid of shame. And that was one of the problems. We literally got rid of shame. That's why you have people doing slut walks and having hoe phases and celebrating promiscuity and dotting it up and finesse culture and tricking culture and all this stuff and baby mama culture, because it's a product of a depraved, debaucherous society. Not everyone is like this, but enough people are. And this is an agenda that's being propagated through propaganda to convince people that they should be amoral and look at everything from a great perspective when traditionally life hasn't been that way. We've all known right from wrong. We've all known when things are not right or above board. And people nowadays want to feign as if they don't understand that. And they want to make the villain the relatable villain now. You know, the villain is the villain not because they're evil, because they had things that happened to them that just made them a villain. So we should look at them and understand and validate their feelings of why they're a villain now. And this is, perpetuated by Hollywood. And a lot of people nowadays are just into carnal desires. They want to fulfill every deviant thought in their head. And society allows it because we're told we can't judge. We're told we can't shame. We're told to not judge people by the cover. Don't judge this book by its cover. Allow people to have safe spaces. Validate everyone's feeling. A man can be a woman can be a man. And I'm not saying I have any issue with that, and I don't want to create laws to stop people from doing this. But this is what happens when you turn common sense on its ear. You have people believing that nothing isn't above board. Any depraved act is above board as long as someone can attach their feelings to it. And you have to validate their feelings because their feelings are always valid, regardless if you believe that it's moral or not. And this is the society we live in. This is what we live in. Let's go to the next one.
Hi, my name is Bianca. I'm an HIV girly out here just trying to end the stigma. This person says, what were your symptoms? I'm getting tested tomorrow and I'm so scared. Girl, I know it can be scary. But this is why I do what I do, because the thought of it is scary. The actuality of it is not. Honestly, the stigma is way worse than the actual disease. And thank God for that, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My symptoms from the acute stage, which is the stage that you show the most symptoms, you're most symptomatic during this time, they were the worst. I literally thought that I made a whole YouTube video discussing my HIV symptoms in depth, so if you want to check it out, I'll link it. But basically, I went to the hospital 3 times because I literally was so unwell. I had fevers, cold sweat, rashes. I couldn't hold anything down. I lost about 20 pounds. All 3 times that I went to the hospital, they turned me away. And all 3 times that I went to the hospital, they never checked me for HIV. Because just like a lot of people in my comments, they probably thought that I didn't look like a person that had HIV. But now knowing what I know, the symptoms were a telltale sign. Like, it was clear as day that I had been exposed to HIV. Anyway, if you or someone you know feel they have been exposed to HIV, please go get tested, no matter how scary it is. Because if you have been exposed, the quicker you could get on medication, the quicker you're going to get to a healthy status and eventually an undetectable status. Love you. Bye.
I think what she's doing is great. She's bringing awareness to this. I don't have any problem with her doing that. The only problem I had was with her first video saying she doesn't have to disclose it. Disclose it. But bravo, good job of telling people to always get tested, regardless if you look like you have it or not. Your looks can't determine it, right? Like, for instance, like she said, no one would look at her and assume she had it. This is why it's important that you all practice, you have safe practices when being intimate, that you practice being safe, that you don't take a person's appearance as a sign of health, because everyone is responsible for their own health. I agree with her wholeheartedly with that. I agree with her on that. Everyone is responsible for their own health. And you cannot assume because someone doesn't look unhealthy that they're still healthy, because you don't know what stage of the infection they're in. So, yes, everyone, men, women, puppies, unicorn, dragons, and dogs, be preventative, be precautious. Always err on the side of better judgment than letter judgment, right? Not hindsight, but foresight. Make sure that you're not out here just throwing your stick in anything or opening your legs up to anyone. It's very incumbent upon you to always practice, practice using your mind when it comes to being intimate with people. I know we all get flustered, we all get caught up in the moment of the attraction, but you always have to be one step ahead of your own health, meaning you're taking preventative measures, you're taking precautions to not become infected, to be like this young lady. And I don't have anything bad to say about her. I think she's doing good work. I just didn't agree with her first video. That's all. So let's go to the next one.
Whenever men tell women that their standards are too high and that you're delusional, when I heard it back in the day, I used to be like, y'all are just some haters. Y'all are pathetic and y'all be on some hating shit. Like, women, don't lower your standards. Girl, do not lower your standards. These men are pathetic. They're just being some haters. Initially, that was my thought. But now I honestly unfortunately, I have to agree with the men. Women are delusional and our standards are too high. Now, let me just go with me for a second, right? I used to believe it was on some hating shit. And I remember when Steve Harvey had his show, he was telling women, your standards are too high. You're going to, end up alone because no man is going to want to meet those standards, especially when they can get it from a woman with no standards. Like, the lower hanging fruit is easier to obtain. So they're not going to jump through all these hoops to be with you and meet your standards. And so I'm like, nah, that's just some guys, nah, that's some hating shit. But here's the thing. Most women are delusional and our standards are too high. Now, I'm not saying to lower your standards. I will never tell you to do that. I want women to understand what this really is. Okay?
We're listening.
So we all know, for the most part, that women were lied to about what and who men really were, right? We were lied to about that. We thought they were going to be these protectors and these providers, and they were going to protect us from harm, and, harm being other men, because, I mean, what, a charging wildebeest is going to come after us and the man is going to use his machete and protect, typically your number one predator as a woman is going to be a man. So you're going to protect us from other men, and you're going to be a good father, and you're going to be faithful, and you're going to be all these things. And men were never that. They were propped up by the patriarchy to pretend that they were those things. And when men tell us that we're delusional and our standards are too high, the secret is, it's not that they don't want to meet those standards. It's that they can't. The average man is completely incapable of meeting those standards. It's almost like expecting a 1-year-old to know how to do calculus in pre-algebra or whatever, right? They don't have the mental faculties to do it. And most men, even if they tried to reach those standards, they will fail miserably. Now, in the famous words of Princella, the patriarchy, aka the wheelchair ramp that they gave men, basically gave them a head start. And women, not only did we catch up to men, we surpassed them. And right now in 2024, we're surpassing them like a motherfucker. And they're crashing out. Because back then, all they needed to have was a job, to get a wife, and to get kids. And that was it. Now women are requiring men to be a good person, be faithful, be loyal, be all these things, a great father, all that stuff, right? And most of them can't. It's not that they don't want to. They fucking can't. They don't have the mental faculties to do it. That is why our standards are too high, because we're expecting this macho superior being to be that, when really they're the ones that are inferior. And I'm saying the vast majority of them. There's a small sprinkling of guys who are self-starters. They're motivated by just themselves and they want to survive. And they don't need to they're not out here working hard just to get a woman and some kids. They're working hard for themselves. Like, the very thing that can show you that these men don't have any like self-motivation, look at how many men have been dropping out of the workforce because they don't feel like there's any light at the end of the tunnel. If these women aren't choosing them because you have to be a good person, you have to be loyal, you have to not cheat on me, you can't cuss me out and dim my light, you can't do all these, you have to be a good person. They're like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to get a wife. These women are not choosing me because I only make $40,000 or $50,000 a year. What's the point? I might as well live in my mama's basement, right? Or have 5 roommates, you know? They're not even striving for themselves. Like, you're supposed to adult, whether you are a man or a woman, for yourself so that you can have heat in the wintertime, so that you can have air in the summertime, so you can have a fucking roof over your head, so you can have a car to drive, so you can be able to afford to put gas in that said car. Like, you're supposed to want to do that for yourself. But they are like, if there's not going to be a woman and kids or anybody that I can control and lord over, then what's the point? That right there will tell you right there, all by itself, that they can't reach those standards. So yes, we're either going to settle for a man, or we're going to get lucky and find a guy who got his shit together, which that number is very, very low for the vast majority of women, or you're going to be by yourself. Those are the only options we have. I will never tell women to lower their standards. The higher you raise your standards, the less men will be able to apply, if you will, right? If you have on your job description, you must have a doctorate's degree or a PhD even, and these men don't even have a high school diploma. Most men don't have a high school diploma. I don't know what the actual number is on a high school diploma, but I'm just saying, most men they're not even halfway to the point of reaching those standards. So, don't lower your standards. If you do, you're going to end up with a guy who's going to hate on you, right? These men are lying about the fact that they don't want to meet those standards. They really can't meet them. They can't. Much like the way that men lie about not liking independent women, right? So the part of them not liking independent women is true. These particular men, they don't like independent women, but they're lying about why. They're trying to say if you're independent, you're masculine. And, you know, as a masculine alpha male, we want a feminine woman and you're masculine. That's not the real reason. The real reason is I'm pathetic. I'm a loser. And every time you come home to tell me something that you've accomplished today, you're putting a mirror up to me and showing me how insignificant I am, how much you don't need me, and how much of a loser I am. That's really what it is. But they're never going to admit that because they have too much ego. They lie about everything. They project everything. All of their fears and insecurities that they have on the inside, they project it off onto women. They will literally do something and then turn around and say you're doing it. Much like when a man comes out of nowhere and swerving down you're cheating on him and you find out it's because he's cheating on you. That's what they do. That's just how they project like a motherfucker. So when they call us delusional, we are delusional. And our delusion comes from being lied to. Now that we know we've been lied to about who and what men are, it's up to us to move accordingly. If you still want to sit around and have these fairy tale views and these high standards or whatever, I'm not telling you to lower your standards. I'm not saying that. But just know, doing that, it's going to get you men. You're going to get got, basically. You're going to just keep attracting men that are going to keep using you. If you understand what men are, you should know how to be by yourself, or get lucky and find somebody that matches your fly, as they call it. So we are delusional until we decide not to be. And those are just my thoughts on that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'll let that run through its entirety because I really want y'all to see the type of feminist misandrists that thrive on TikTok. All this is feminist babbling, right? This is how they literally rewrite history. Everything she said is projection, by the way. It's a rewriting of history. Women of the past just settled for men. As long as they had a job, they were good enough. Women have standards that make them delusional because men can't live up to them when they're not standards, they're expectations, which I've told y'all a number of times. Standards and expectations are completely different. Women don't have standards. Women who share her reflection of her ilk, you have expectations, and your expectations are unrealistic. See, you disguise them and say they're standards, so you can then feign later on that men just can't meet your standards because they're high when they're not standards. See, a standard would be, I don't want a man that has children if I don't have kids. I don't want a man who smokes because I don't smoke. I want a man of character because I have good character. I want a man of morals because I am a woman of morals. See, those are standards. And I want a man who doesn't have a job that could support a family before we have one. See, that's a standard. See, all this stuff that y'all are talking about, 6 foot, 6 inches, 6 figures, those are expectations. Those are not standards. And all the other flights of fancy that y'all have that you want to disguise your expectations as standards when they're really not. They're just expectations. They're desires. There are 9 times out of 10 wants that you cannot attain yourself. So you want to push those off on potential suitors as if they're things that they should be able to give you out of your own delusion, right? Society didn't trick you into believing that men were such and such. You tricked yourself into believing that you were such and such. See, all this shit it's narcissism. It's projection. Everything she is, she projects onto men because she would be in competition with a man she's in a relationship with. Don't ever get it twisted. She would be in open competition with every man she chose to be in a relationship with. So she thinks that because she would be, and of course, out of her own mouth, men are inferior. And if they're the inferior being, of course, if I'll do it, they would do it. And this is where the projection comes in. This is where the narcissism comes in. She thinks that men, by some reports, drop out of the workforce because they can no longer get a wife and kids. Not being that it's the economy and they outsource jobs and a lot of things are moving to automation, right? That's not the reason that some men are being pushed out of the workforce and that things are being highly corporatized and, like I said, outsourced here, outsourced there, and they're cutting the workforce. No, 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 no. It's not because of those things. It's because men can't reach women's high standards. And because those women aren't allowing those men into relationships and giving them legacy, they're just giving up and I'll just be a bum and stay at home. Girl, get the fuck out of here. Y'all, man, I'm telling y'all, these misandrists and feminists on TikTok, they are some of the craziest MFers I've ever ran across, man. If you listen to anything this woman say, you'll be just like her. Bitter, miserable, alone, and sitting in a truck with a trucker's headphone on because she's some type of truck driver, I'm assuming, making pathetic TikTok videos of misandry. That's all I got, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Get it cracking in the comments. I'll see y'all in the credits. 2 fingers. Peace. Get y'all in the next one.
Like Jesus.